We are going to be working with some action queries, and action queries can be used to make a new table, to do mass updates to a field, to delete multiple records based on criteria, and you can also use an action query to add records to the bottom of an existing table. And we're going to be actually creating a new table, and before we give the query command to make the table, we're going to run just a regular select query first to make sure it's accurate, and then we will convert that into the query that makes the table. So to start with, we're just going to be doing a regular query in Design View. We're going to use work orders. And they want us to add all of the fields to the grid. And rather than double clicking on every single one, we're going to double click on work orders on the title of the table. That'll highlight all of them. And then we're just going to point to one and left drag, and it'll fill all of them in, which is much easier than double clicking on each one. Then we are going to enter a criteria below service state. And this is similar to what we've done before with that parameter query, but instead of doing parameters, we are actually going to hard code a date in here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and press enter, and you'll notice that it kind of converted the dates, put little hashtags or pound signs around them, which is fine. And we're going to run this query. And we're running it to just kind of double check the results, make sure they're accurate before we actually give the command to create a table from this. Now, they've decided that they do not want to include comments in this new table. So instead of hiding it, they actually want us to remove it from the design grid. So let's go back to view here. And we're just going to right click. Once we get the selector arrow above comments, we're going to right click and cut that. And at this point, what we have is exactly what is needed for this new table that we're going to create. Now, this new table is basically going to serve as an archive table, and we are going to put it in a completely different database file. Okay. In our Access S3 folder, we have a RSR CompServe history database, and that's where we're going to be putting this table. So right now we have a select query, but we are now going to pick make table, because we're going to be taking these fields and creating a new table with the fields and the data. So for the name of this table, we're going to call it September 2018 WO for work orders. And then you'll notice that you can put it in the current database or a different database. So we are going to put this in another database. And the database we're going to put it in is the RSR CompServe history database. And just to be safe, we're going to click on Browse. And we do need to navigate to the location of that database. And we said it was in our Access Level 2, Chapter 3 folder. And you can see here is the history database. I'm going to select that and click OK. Okay, and you'll notice that it's got the full path to that database with the name here at the end. If I right arrow this, you guys can see it. And that's where we're going to be storing this new table. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And when I run this query, it is going to create this new table in the CompServe history database. So let me run it. Okay, and it says you're about to paste 7 rows into a new table. This is something you can't undo. I'm going to go ahead and click on yes. And because this table is in a completely different database, we're going to want to open it. So make sure you've saved this. And we're going to key in September 2018, make table. Okay, so you should see that in your list of queries, and you're going to notice it looks different because it is an action query. All of the other queries that we've done so far are select queries, but action queries look different. So at this point, I'm just going to go to File and Open. And I'm going to hit Browse. And I'm going to open up RSR CompServe History. And the only table in it happens to be the one that I just created. So let me double click on that. And you can see that we've got all of the fields and records that we had specified. So at this point, I can go ahead and close the table and close out of the history database.